Hey, buckle chasers, how are you doing today? My name is Mike Iddings, and this is my channel, Get My Buckle. Just to let you know that I've got the experience to talk about this. I have a bunch of these. I've even got one of these. And then I've got that bad boy right there. But the one thing I don't have is what our guest today did get. Yeah, one and done. I don't know if done's the right word, but showed up, got it, no problem. Maybe there's a little DNA gift involved. I'm not sure, but he did it. He's got the sub 9 buckle, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But right now, we're going to go and show you the people that have aligned with the show. Silka, 15% off with Get My Buckle code. Carbo Rocket, 25% off your first order with Get My Buckle. Bird Wheels, 20% off with Get My Buckle. Carbon hoop rope spokes, super light, great wheel. 100%, we're doing 30% off order. Got to do a group order. Reach out, Mike, at getmybuckle.com. Quicker Stuff racks, last rack you'll ever buy, 25 bucks off. So those are the people who are aligned with the show. They'll help you set the compass, get the tools you need to get to the red carpet. All right, today is Casey Delzell, and Casey's done Leadville once, and he did it in 8:30. So, good for him. That's not an easy task. He obviously took it serious, did what he needed to, and came home with that big buckle. So, welcome, Casey.
Hey, it's good to be here.
All right. So Casey, how did you must have been a cyclist at some point or some kind of an athlete, and how did you get to the point where Leadville found you?
Yeah, yeah, Leadville. So I've lived in Colorado since 2005. Originally from Wisconsin, moved out to Denver area, but always went to the mountains to camp and hike and ski and do all the mountain things that we do. And actually not a ton of cycling. Um, but eventually we moved up here, so we live in Leadville now. Moved up here in June of 22, so we've been out here for a couple of years, and it's been a great move. Leadville's awesome. And then I I bought my first like real mountain bike in fall of 22, a day before it snowed. But spent 2023 out biking the trails here and like loving it, the dirt roads, looking at the course, looking everywhere else but the course. And then yeah, midway through 2023, as I was riding all the trails, it's like, you know what, at 100, like that looks pretty tempting. That looks like a fun challenge, a fun experience. And so yeah, in what was that, December, I guess, of 23, signed up, got in, and yeah, that was sort of day one of training in January of really getting after it. But going into it, the cheat code, the ultimate cheat code is being here and looking at the trails every day. So yeah, that's my experience right now in Leadville.
Well, you're definitely fortunate. To year one, throw your name in the hat and actually get drawn. And then year one, do sub 9. So good for you, man. Leadville's been good to you so far. Good professional move, good family move.
It's been great. Yeah. I know another thing that people mention on the show too. I'm 42. I've got 2 kids, so family dad, and yeah, wife is a teacher here in town, so we're sort of like plugged into the community. But yeah, I'm 42. I'm not some like younger 20-year-old that can still crush everything right now.
Nice. All right. Well, can you share with the viewers what was your journey like, leading from, hey, I got the email.
Yeah.
What was your training journey up until, race day?
Yeah. So being in Leadville, winters are long, right? So yeah, it snowed here yesterday. last night too, and it's early May, but I spent a lot of time on a trainer in the basement, and it was really depressing. But yeah, a lot of hours of sort of grinding on the trainer, looking at Zwift, and just at that point too, sort of tweaking the bike or what I could like indoors, right? Like are the grips, do they feel right? The saddle, things like that, and sort of like starting to change things as much as I could like inside, right? You're not looking at tires or anything like that yet, or even gearing, but really just trying to get comfortable on the bike and diving into as you're on the trainer, right? You've got Zwift going on, but you also have, if it's not Netflix, it's probably a podcast or reading a blog or something like that as you're riding, trying to learn about the race and learn as much as you can. And so, yeah, the first chunk of training, first couple of months was sitting there in the basement, just spinning and trying to get hours in on the bike. And then outside of that too, trying to like cross train with cross country skiing here, and skiing up mountains and things like that too, trying to get outside as well. But yeah, a lot of it was, that first chunk of it was on a trainer, which sort of drove me crazy after a while. When I was able to get outside, I think it was the first like sunny day with dry roads, was mid-April, and it felt so good. I don't remember how to steer initially, right? Because you're like not trained enough to do any of that yet. But like once you get out there, it's so great. So that was really the first chunk of it.
Well, when you talk about getting your seat right and getting comfortable on the bike, was that all trial and error, or did you go get a bike fit?
I did not get a bike fit. That was really trial and error, and just like research online. Yeah, it's really just sort of what worked for me, and what was comfortable. So
Huh. Well, first timers, food for thought. He did it on his own, trial and error, it worked for him, great. If you're not mechanically inclined, or you're not really sure how to translate what's going on into how to fix that, highly recommend a bike fit. And you can up the caliber of fit. You can go get a bike fit in a bike shop. You can get a bike fit from a licensed physical therapist. And then you can even go to the next level. You can get a medical bike fit where they check your flexibility, they check your strengths. It take an hour-ish, and they just, look at you, your body, and they find out where you're strong, where you're not, where's your pain. And then they really dive into it and adjust your bike to remedy all of those things. And I can attest to that because I had a popliteal cyst or Baker's cyst in my left knee. It was so bad that I had to take the entire month of July off in 23. So, but then we did the bike fit. She shortened my cranks. We repositioned me, and now I don't even think about my knee. So I can, from experience, they work. So you want to get comfortable on the bike. If you're not comfortable figuring out on your own, you can go that route, and you can definitely streamline that, and alleviate or eliminate pain and hot spots and that sort of thing. So,
yeah.
Sorry, back to you, Casey.
No. My question for the bike fit too is like, as you get older, right? We're all aging here. As you get older, how often have you done a bike fit? Obviously, like after surgery, right? You got a bike fit. Do you do one in 5 years, in 3 years? You sort of like fine tune it, as you go. I guess when you get a new bike too, but
When you get a new bike, if you have a medical event, or if you just start to, develop some hot spots or some pains, because, your arches in your feet will change. Your height changes as you get older. I'm 60. I'm an inch and a half, 2 inches shorter than I was 15 years ago. I mean, it happens. So I don't know what the number is. I'm sure the PT person's gonna, the bike fit person's gonna tell you every year, but
yeah.
in reality, it might be, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years,
Yeah.
or unless you get a bike, or something develops. So
Yeah.
that's my best guess. So, all right, you were talking about indoor training, and then you moved in April-ish. You got to go outside, which I'm sure in Leadville was hit and miss, because like right now it's May 7th, And we're in Evergreen at 8,000 feet in the Rocky Mountains, an hour and 45 minutes away from Leadville, east of Leadville, and it is snowing like a mofo.
Yeah.
We got 16 inches, and we probably still got 6 on the ground, and it's wet, slushy, gross. Ugh, can't ride in it. Not
Yeah.
even the roads right now. So hopefully it'll clear up by the weekend. So what
Yeah.
Leadville look like in April?
Yeah, April, there was a streak of about it's maybe a week. And so every day I got out and just ripped as far as I could go with conditions. But yeah, we got a dumping in mid-May last year, Mother's Day. So around this time we had like 18 inches last year of wet snow that sort of like trashed everything for a week. But then the sun came out and cleared things up. But and around here during that time too, like May, April, June, even into July a little bit in certain spots, right? Like it's everyone's really eager to come out here and ride. There is snow in the woods for a long time here.
Right. On the north side.
It's
right.
If there is shade, there is snow. So even though like roads could be clear, they could be pristine. Yeah, but they plow around Turquoise Lake Road early May. So around now, like that might be cleared out. Independence Pass actually I just saw is open right now for biking. So pending the snow last night, but that's available. So I think like really around here, like once those roads start to clear and open up, yeah, start to like explore like a little bit further, up until really like mid-June, and then you can start going up on the trails. Keevens will be open, the 105, Power Line, and further south. Like right now, Pipeline's totally dry and available. Yeah, Columbine hit or miss for a bit, but yeah.
Okay, so let's fast forward to your start of your race day. What do you wear? What do you prepare? What do you bring? Do you bring, anything special for the start for you?
Yeah. I've got, so full disclosure, I've got a cheat sheet right here, and I'll share this with the group when we're done with this. But yeah, start line for me, it's colder up here in the mornings, without the sun, things drop pretty quick. So but you warm up quickly. I wore a thin long sleeve jersey. It's just comfortable and it keeps the sun off. And bibs and a light vest. With 2 bottles in the cages. Yeah, gloves. Nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. I don't think.
You just deal with the cold.
I just deal with the cold.
You just deal with the cold. Well,
people have baggies on their hands. There's like, I don't like wrap hot hands around your mitts, like things like that. If you have poor circulation, totally get it. It's good to be comfortable, but I guarantee, and that first downhill is you're going to be cold, but you'd much rather be cold than start burning up immediately on any flat or uphill, because you're gonna hit that real quick. So
right. I don't like being cold at all. So I will have, I'll take rubber gloves and I'll cut them off just above the fingers, and just to block the wind, and I'll have my arm warmers on, and I'll have my leg warmers on, and my toe covers on. I hate being cold. So I'll deal with that. But I'm good. I'm comfortable and I'm safe on the downhill because it's fast. And if you can't grab the brakes, or you're physically shivering and you're not able to focus the way you should, I mean, that's the opportunity for shit to go wrong. Yeah. And believe me, I have seen this would have been my 29th, this would be my 30th start this year. I have seen more people crash before they get to the turn to go over the tracks and get on Tennessee Creek Road. Hundreds of people crash because when one guy goes down, he probably takes 10 or 15 with him. It's terrible. So the start is super important to make sure that you have all your wits about you. You're comfortable. You can handle your bike. You're warm enough. You're not shaking, and you can manage what's going on.
Yeah.
So just different.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like I'm used to the cold. I went on a couple morning rides, again, here. Um, and so I knew what I was getting into. But if you're training in Arizona or Florida, somewhere warm,
Right?
and you hit a 50-degree day, like that's wild. And when it's 30 degrees in the morning and 35, like it's going to be shocking to the system, right? And then the race anxiety, your heart's going to be racing, the altitude, all of it. You didn't sleep the night before, no one
Right?
does, right? Like there's a lot of variables in play. So like be comfortable on your bike and don't like, yeah. My rule with activities is like don't be silly, dress chilly, right? Like it's okay to be cold. Like for me, it's okay to be cold at the start of it because you're going to warm up with a lot of like cross country skiing and running, things like that. But also like be comfortable on your bike. Like be comfortable on your bike. Don't pop tags on race day, of like new mitts. Because if it doesn't, yeah, if you can't grip the brakes right, it's not gonna be good for anyone. It's not gonna be good for you or the 10, 15 people behind you.
That's true. And if you do layer up and you're a little warm, um, when you make the left turn and you start the lead in into the St. Keven climb, that's when you ditch your stuff. Don't do it on the climb. If you've got layers and you're going to overheat once you start climbing, get rid of it. Right at the split, you're gonna hit a split. You're gonna go left. There's going to be a gradual lead into the St. Keven climb. That's where you ditch the stuff, so that you are not trying to stop on the climb, take something off because you're just boiling over. That's not good race etiquette. You need to be ready. You need to be able to clear Keven. If you can't clear it, stay to the right. If you got to, step out of your uh, pedals, get over to the right. Let the people who can ride on the left, let them keep going.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yeah.
so how did
I I think all that like the small things, just like take your gear off early. Spend a 30 seconds or a minute now, because like overheating going up Kevens, there's not going to be another chance to do that for a bit as you're winding up and around there. So like it's okay to take a minute and get comfortable. You might just feel like your race anxiety is still going. You're only, a couple minutes into the race, but like that's okay. Take that minute now because it'll serve you better later on for sure.
right? And that is said, that was spoken by an 8:30 rider. So 12-hour bubble racers, I have a little bit different perspective for you guys, and that is if you can do all this while you're on your bike still pedaling, do it. If you don't have to stop, don't, because you're racing the clock. And the clock doesn't stop. So if you can, shed your layers, toss them in the side. I'll pick it up on Sunday morning. I clean the course up. I've got property there. It's not littering. It's only temporary rent space. So if you can do it while you're riding, do it. But definitely be comfortable on the climb. Get ready for it. That's for sure. So how did your you know, what corral were you in?
I was in red.
So you're in red. So you were up there.
I was
Red
up.
Corral, most of the guys Red Corral are going to clear Keven, no problem. They're going to be flying up there.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it crowded for you?
It was, we were moving. We were always, yeah, we cleared it. There's, yeah, some congestion, but it was more of like, I don't know, you got the antsy riders in the Red Corral that think they can win the thing, but yeah, I got into the red. I mean, to back it up, to prep for the 100, I did the 50, the Silver Rush 50, in early-ish July, to one, sort of test out the bike. How does that react? Test out nutrition, what sort of works when you're riding 50 miles. Um, Test out like hydration pack. Does it make sure that feels comfortable and everything's in the right spot? And then yeah, corral placement. So with the 50 first timer, right? I did the 50 to get into the red corral. And I was excited about that going into the 100 being in the red, but I don't know if we're going to talk about it now, but looking back, the red corral was really intense. And I would have bumped back like two corrals just to like hang with more of a group. Because as we could get into it later, as the race progressed, like things really spread out a lot with the red corral. Like it wasn't a group that was going, it was a long stream of emptiness. So
Huh.
Yeah. But
And what you would have bumped back a couple corrals for what would have been your game plan?
coming back from Columbine, I I had 100 yards in front of me, behind me, 200 yards in front of me, behind me, all the way back to power line, which didn't really matter if you were with a group or not, anyways, not exactly drafting going up power line. And hit like a couple more people, hung with some people at like Carter's Summit on the way back on the far side of Turquoise Lake coming back down. Found some people there, but like that was it. I feel like if I went back, I could sort of find a better pack mentality, um, going forward. And the record, we went out full line, full line. And I don't know if every corral does this, but like we were racing down to get to Keepins. And my splits going out were way too fast for what I wanted to do. I was like, if I maintain this, there's no way. So actually I had to like mentally and physically like just slow down, before I got to Columbine. Otherwise I was gonna blow up. So
Well, at least you knew that, right? You were
yeah.
smart to do that instead of just try and hang on wheels. But we're in different camps on this thought here because red, green, orange corral, it's not an 8:30 corral. And if I would highly doubt if you are going to pace line and group ride with any of the orange corral people. You are just gonna ride away from them. Same thing with green, I think, because it's you are a different, you've got a different engine. It's
Yeah.
bottom line, right? You just have a different engine. So 70 miles in, 60 miles in, when you're leaving Twin Lakes and you're heading over to Pipeline, you just have a few extra gears. So I don't know if that would have served you well. Might look
Yeah.
at paper, but I don't know in actuality if that would have, if
Yeah.
it benefited you in any way. Or you'd called 10 people and they'd have been happy as hell to have you.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
Right?
fine if there's people around me. It was a very lonely period of my life. Like
Yeah.
that
There
chunk
are
of time, it would have been nice to like just shoot the shit with someone, but maybe it's not the move to bump back a corral, but I found it to be like, yeah, like mentally like lonely.
I,
I did stop to go to the bathroom at the top of Pipeline, like somewhere there, and I sort of then caught up with the group. But yeah, then we all broke up at the bottom of Pipeline with aid stations and outward bound and things like that. So
yeah. Well, first timers, you can count on riding alone for a while. I'd be pretty confident that there are going to be points in the race where you're riding with, 4 people, maybe 14 people for brief moments, and then you might not see anyone for 15 minutes. I mean, very common because as the race progresses, people just have different strengths. And people in your corral, you're starting with with less people in general because we're starting corrals. So, some people are stronger on the flats, some people are better at climbing, some people are better at descending. So the corral just starts to separate, and string out. And where you're at in that corral, I mean, who knows, right? You might be there. You might ride with the same people, 2 guys for 70 miles. Who knows? But then whoever fueled right and whoever's got a little more endurance is going to start to pull away at the later end of the race. So don't be surprised if there are gaps in your race where you don't see anybody for a little bit. And on the flip side of that, don't be surprised if you're, in a pod of 5 or 6 riders. Could happen both ways. But sounds like Casey likes to talk while he's doing an 8:30.
I like maybe not. Yeah, we're not chit chatting, but maybe. Yeah, I remember clearly. I was going like we're racing down Red Corral, right? Racing down, and there's that point where the Arkansas Tennessee Creek like railroad tracks, right? And the clouds are like super low,
Yeah.
and just like the sun is sort of like hitting it just right, and there's this like gorgeous, right? And I've seen it before, but like it's just gorgeous. And I let out a woo, and like crickets. And I think that was a moment I was like, ah, shit, like this isn't, like these people are here to ride. Like this is, yeah, yeah. Not that I was there for a fun ride. I totally get, like, I pushed it, I trained, I did things, but like it was a gorgeous moment, and I was waiting for a reaction, and it was just like just flywheels. I was like, okay, yeah. So
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it is absolutely gorgeous.
yeah,
And then after you make, if first timers, you're going to be breathing hard. Your tongue's going to be down into the cranks. It's going to be tough, but take a moment. And he's perfect at that point. You're going to turn right. You're going to turn left, cross the tracks, then turn right on Tennessee Creek Road. You're going to follow that out, and you're going to skirt the meadow, this huge meadow. And that meadow is, depending on the day, the clouds might be low in it, that you might see the silhouette of the cows, the sunbeams coming through. It is gorgeous. And then once you get to Kevin and you make the hard left turn, probably a mile and a half past that, you're going to go over a huge mine tailing, and the meadow that you skirted earlier is going to be on your left, except you're going to have a lot different vantage point of it. Super cool. Look left, check it out, be safe. It's awesome. Leadville's awesome. The scenery's awesome. So take time to smell the roses while you're in the race. Try to anyway.
totally. Like, try to look up. Try to look. It's really, it's really pretty. And that's a big, like, that's why I love riding here. Yeah, it's so pretty. So yeah.
So do you remember 8:30? What time did you get to Carter Summit?
I'm going to my cheat sheet here. Carter Summit.
You had to be like 50 minutes.
50 minutes.
50 minutes?
Sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah, leave town 6:32, 30. Yeah, Carter Summit 50. I think we're a little bit ahead of that, but yeah, that was my goal, is 50 minutes.
That's fast. Nice. So how did so you said the climb was good, it was congested, but everybody just kept on moving. So
Yep.
how did the race, keep going with your race? How'd that happen? How did the rest of it go?
Yeah, Keevan's good. Carter Summit, no congestion going through there, popping out on Turquoise Lake Road. And then you've got that breather, basically that long downhill on pavement, right? And so that's a great time to like hydrate, catch your breath, eat, right? Like whatever's comfortable for you going, like you could be ripping down that hill too, but like whatever's comfortable for you to eat, that's a good time to fuel. And then because you can get to the bottom, May Queen is the far side of Turquoise Lake, and you can go back up another climb to the 105 Sugarloaf power line, right? So yeah, all that was fairly smooth, no congestion going around there. 105 is good. I sort of like that climb up to Sugarloaf, actually. I hate the power line descent. Um
Upper or lower? Or all of it?
all of it.
All of it.
Yeah, there's some gnarly stuff on there, and just it could make or break your day. Like just trying to rip down it. I took it easy, honestly. Like my strength throughout the entire thing, but like just in training wise too, my strength was climbing. So I I didn't want to, try to gain a couple minutes by ripping down power line, knowing I could easily make that up going up Pipeline or Columbine or anywhere else on the course, right? So yeah, all the way through. Eat when you can, drink when you can, when you feel comfortable on the bike. Turquoise Lake Road is great to do that because it's pavement and it's wide. You got the space to do it. Because you're not gonna suck on a bottle going down power line, or,
Right.
or anything like that. That's not gonna happen. You might lose a water bottle going down power line.
Right.
But like, yeah, I think there's, and as I say this, I think everyone's like, oh, you have to eat every 30 minutes. You've got this like mentality. I'll set a timer on my Garmin or whatever it is, right? Like I'll set a timer every 30 minutes to eat. And that, like, that's a good idea. But when it actually comes down to it, like that 30-minute timer might go off when you're at power line, right? Or when you're a really inconvenient spot, or you're passing someone, or like whatever it is. And so you have to keep in mind that if you push that 30 minutes to maybe 35 or 40 minutes, like everything's going to sort of be off after that, right? And that timer is going to be just an annoyance. but yeah, I think the most important part as far as like nutrition and hydration is like eat when you can. Um, and the paved road on Turquoise Lake is great. And when you get down from Power Line and you go towards like Fish Hatchery, also great opportunity to like sort of reset, make sure you're all good and you survive Power Line, and then hydrate and eat something there too, snack before you get to like Outward Bound.
Right. So first timers, just, give you a heads up. When you crest Sugarloaf and you start to come down Power Line, upper Power Line is very technical, very rocky. Line choice is going to be very important, and it's wicked. I mean, it is wicked Rocky Mountain technical. And then you're gonna do a dip, come up, and then you're gonna hit the lower Power Line descent, which is, it's not real technical, but it's steep, it's fast, and it's got fractured granite on top of brown pavement, and it is very slippery. So that is the, a lot of people go down there, hit the brakes, grab too much front brake, slide out. It's off camber. It's everything about it's difficult, and it's fast. So be real careful on the lower Power Line because of the speed. Be real careful on upper Power Line because of the technical, just the rocks. It is a technical descent, so be careful.
Yeah.
Free-ride it if you can. That's for sure.
Yeah. And you could, like, if people are out and they're trying to come out early, I know I made the comment about there's gonna be snow in the trees, right? Like lower Power Line is clear. That steep straight section going up. So you can always go back there and like check it out and take a look at that now. Bike that lower section. You're not gonna be able to get to the top, but like you'll have just as much fun as the lower section.
Yeah, lower section is facing due south, so it's nice because in May it's clear, but that translates to it's 95 degrees in August when you're going to hit it probably.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's blistering hot. If it's a Bluebird day in Colorado, it's Power Line is going to be blistering hot on race day. It's going to suck.
Yeah.
So be ready for that as well.
Yeah.
All right, so keep on going with your race. You got down Power Line and. You got around Fish Hatchery and
Fish Hatchery, took a little jog at Outward Bound. There's an aid station Outward Bound. I cruised past it, and then made my way, pipeline to
Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes, yeah. And so that's where I put Twin Lakes was my first like planned stop was at Twin Lakes with a drop egg. So I started the race with two full bottles on my bike, with Scratch high carb drink. I'm not promoting Scratch anyways, but like they're awesome. That worked out really well for me. And the high carb drink. So I got the two bottles empty going into Twin Lakes, and at Twin Lakes, my drop bag included a hydration pack. And I left the empty bottles on the bike and emptied my snack wrappers at the little drop bag station. And yeah, pack on, left the empties on the bike, had extra snacks in the pack, and rolled out of there probably within 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
The volunteers are awesome, aren't they?
Drop bag is great. I think so. They changed the race structure too a little bit with like you had to be in the red corral or faster to be able to park at Twin Lakes, right? They changed that up, and I had discussions about that within the group about like, well, I need my crew there to do the XYZ, and I need all this thing. I use the drop bag. Being in red corral, I could have someone there. I chose not to, and so I used a drop bag option, and it was fantastic. My family was actually, we'll get to it, but they were Outward Bound on the way in. They were slower than the drop egg guys. So drop egg was great, and like highly recommend if that works in your strategy.
Well, here you go, first timers. If you don't have a crew or your crew is not comfortable, chasing you around to every aid station, here's an 830 guy using drop bags and, praising them. And everybody praises the volunteers. They're hustling. they're going to do whatever they can as fast as they can for you. So it's nice to hear that, you know, the validation of good, you know, the volunteers are great. And so
Yeah.
don't worry. If you have to do drop bags, you know, it is not going to, that's not going to be the reason you don't get your 12-hour or your 12-hour buckle.
Yeah.
You didn't train enough.
I use a 2.5, going specifics here, 2.5 gallon Ziploc bag, and I put a neon duct tape, and I put neon duct tape around it with my big race number and a big Sharpie on it. So it was very clear, like
Right.
what bag it was. So I rolled in, they saw my number, and I was like, pink duct tape. Now everyone's gonna use pink duct tape, but use like a different color. Like I rolled in, and they literally had it, like the kids sprinted to the bags, grabbed it, came back before I even was able to like empty trash out of my pockets.
Nice.
So it was, yeah, without a doubt, I'd do it again. You know, it was great. So
That's good to hear.
yeah.
Okay, so how'd your Columbine climb go? Obviously pretty good.
Columbine was good. Let's see, looking at top of Columbine in 426. So yeah, top of Columbine 426. Yeah, the Columbine's good. I did walk goat trail. Other people in front of me were walking goat trail. So the top of Columbine was Columbine Road, right, going up, and then it hits this sort of double track, right? And it was jammed up there. People were walking at a fairly good pace, but with people coming down, right? So people are ripping down at that point. And so you're really single file going up this thing, but it was honestly like I could have biked it. I've biked it before and cleared it, but like I wouldn't be going that much faster than what we were hiking. So yeah, that worked out, going up that and then going back down too. Yeah,
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought. I was in Red Corral, but I was in, you know, in the back of the Red Corral. I'm surprised that the front of the Red Corral is hiking the goat trail.
I think, I mean, really, like at that point, at that pitch up there too, I think all it takes is one person hitting one rock and getting off balance,
Absolutely.
stopping, and the person behind him that, oh, there's a chain reaction going down.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, 15 riders to get back on your bike, doing that is tough on dirt while people are ripping down you. You got these pros now
Yeah,
coming down next to you, that you don't want to like get in their way.
for
So,
sure. So,
um,
you spend any time up at the halfway at the lollipop up there?
no,
No,
no.
me either. Get down. Get off the mountain.
Yeah, I'm good.
Get off the mountain.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, super pretty. I highly recommend, again, if you're out here beforehand, bike up there, do that little loop, even go further to the south, right? There's a couple more trails that sort of keep on going up there. Check things out.
The old halfway point.
The what?
The old halfway point.
Yeah, the actual Columbine, like that hut.
Yeah.
Building up there, yeah.
Point.
So pretty up there. So yeah, highly recommend taking your time, explore the route, and just get up there and check it out.
So don't spend any time at the halfway point, which I highly recommend. Don't, unless you have to. If you have to fuel or you have to, you know, gear up or something, fine. But just do it, get moving. You know, point it downhill and let it rip and get your butt going home.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that I mean, the hard part's, I'll say the hard part's done, but like you're more than halfway at that
Right.
point.
Right.
So
No, absolutely.
yeah.
Coming home, man, back to the barn.
And be safe. Be safe on that goat trail going downhill, right? It's the same thing as power line. It's gonna be rutted. It's gonna be washed out a little bit, right? You're gonna be people that are eager to get back down as well. And keep an eye out for people coming up, because people might try to pass people coming up.
Yeah.
So
it's a scary spot, man. You mean, you gotta stay, you know, 100% eyes open, ready to react. No doubt.
yeah.
So you got back, you know, he had a safe descent.
Safe descent, off goat trail, down Columbine. That open space is deceivingly long at the bottom of Columbine, like between basically the bottom of Columbine where you pop out of the woods, the open field between that and Twin Lakes. is a sort of it could be windy, depending on when you're hitting it. But that's sort of a deceiving spot that seems to go on forever. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, but
there are a lot
I
of spots like that go forever,
did. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that one in particular, it's like barren, But there's crews lined up, there's people around, right? And so that's always helpful. Um, but yeah, hit Twin Lakes again on the way back. Bike through Twin Lakes, no stopping there. Still had my pack full of gear. Again, I still had my empty bottles in the cages. So if I took longer going up Columbine and needed more fluids, I had the bottles. I didn't swap those and put those in the drop bag to pick up later. I just kept them on the bike, carrying empty bottles, whatever.
Right, but you could have filled them at the aid station if need be to have the extra fuel.
Right. Yep. Could have filled them at the top of Columbine. Like if something happened, like I wanted to have that option. I did have a 1.5 liter bladder on my back. So I had that good to go to get me from Twin Lakes up to Columbine and back through Twin Lakes. And that's where it gets lonely as well, like climbing out of Twin Lakes. And going down is really alone there, making my way back up to Pipeline. Bathroom break somewhere out there. And then yeah, made my way back down through Pipeline and then met my second planned stop at Outward Bound, inbound, with the wife, kids, and a friend. So
now you're 70 miles ish in, and you're getting ready to do the power line climb.
Yep. So at that point, hit the Outward Bound. So that transition there is I took the pack off because at that point it was empty. Definitely should be empty at that point. Took the pack off, swapped the empty bottles out for fresh new bottles. Cold. It was amazing. It was the best thing ever to have cold water.
Right?
So great. And then snacks as well. And yeah, and then at that point, yeah, left there, fish hatchery, and it's coming, power line's coming. So I sort of left Outward Bound fairly mellow, like, all right, let's get the legs moving a little bit, but no need to push it here because it's about to get real once you hit power line. Yeah, I hit the bottom power line, pushed as much as I could. Someone in front popped off. I popped off and then walked up, the sort of the top bottom steep section, whatever that is.
Yeah, lower power line.
Yeah. So
you're
and hop back on and made my way around. But there's some, like you said on the way in, there's some technical sections that like I popped off because at that point I was like, I'm beat. And sort of popped off the bike just to get around some technical sections just to save me from like doing a stupid mistake and falling over or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but yeah, at that point, up and over Sugarloaf, I stopped again. After Sugarloaf, you come down 105 back to Turquoise Lake Road. I stopped there to grab some food just out of my pack and just like I stopped for a second before the long descent. I stopped for a second, had like some protein bar just to get more nutrition in me because I felt like things weren't quite right, but then started the descent and felt comfortable and back up that climb out of Turquoise Lake Road to Carter Summit.
Yeah, that's another relentlessly hot, terrible climb with 85 miles into your legs. And oh man, it's a bitch.
Yeah. At least it's pavement, like it's smooth. But yeah, that's one that like I've ridden that countless times, but every time there's one turn there, I'm like, this is the last one, but it never is. I'm always like one turn off. But yeah.
Which is mentally demoralizing, isn't it?
Oh yeah. They even think like, no, this is the turn. This is it. This is the last. No, that's what you said last time. But yeah, I'm always one turn off, and on that climb. But it's a great climb. And then Carter Summit, honestly, my favorite part of the course was hitting the top of Carter Summit and that descent, through like single track. It's flowy in there. It's pretty. You're in the woods. You're out of the sun. You hit Kevins, right? You come down. The meadow that went along that jump at the beginning of the race is right there. And then you sort of make your way to the boulevard.
The Boulevard.
Yeah,
Boulevard. A deceivingly, a deceiving stretch back home, that's for sure.
yeah,
It's on paper, it's not that steep at all. Doesn't look that steep, but when you're 95, 100 miles in and you cannot wait to get to that red carpet, it seems like it's 25% and endless.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, it's a long stretch. My like typical loop here, I'll loop around and like hit that boulevard, sort of like often. And every time I'm like, it just keeps going. That's another one too, where you're like, you sort of get around a bend, you're like, I think that's the top, but it's actually not. It does like another slight left, and then that's the top.
right.
Um, but yeah, I think the the worst part of the course um, would be you get off the boulevard and you hit like the school, the McQuethy, and you turn up six, and there's that steep section up six.
Yeah.
Again, not very far, but that pavement, man, is just like you grind up this little section there. It's like one little kicker that like
It's another kick in the
you
teeth.
almost hear people cheering, and you're like,
Right, right.
yeah.
Oh, good, good for you, man. It sounded like you had a great day. Didn't have, I ask a lot of people, what would you have done differently? And would you have done anything differently?
I would have focused on nutrition more. I think that like I had that 30-minute rule of like intaking so much every 30 minutes type of thing, but as you're out there on the course and you have this race mentality, right? And you want to like keep going, like, no, I'm doing just fine, I'm doing just fine. And you're doing just fine until you're not. And when you're not, like you're really not doing fine.
It's
Like
almost over.
you've gone beyond that. And so like had I eaten before, had I taken a minute or two, like another break, now and then, I would have done that. But yeah, I mean, fortunate that like no mechanicals, bike ran super smooth. Felt comfortable, on the bike the entire time. Weather was great,
Yeah.
for me, like it clear weather. Last year, especially like the day before and the day after, it dumped rain right in the morning, and so it would have been miserable. But it was a super clear day. So yeah,
Oh, good. Um, I have a little bit different perspective on fueling, and mine is Rose Grant, eat early, eat often. And, every 30 minutes, if it works for you, fine. But just keep in mind, you have to have your tank topped off. Because if something happens and you don't eat for an hour, if you're running it full and that happens, now you're at half. You can recover, you can keep going, your race is going to be just fine. But if you're running low on nutrition and you're only at half and that same event occurs and you don't eat for an hour, now you're on E and now you're not recovering. So
yeah,
make sure that you are consuming your correct amount of calories and carbs and hydration all the way through the race, all day. Got to be all day. It's the slow drip that's gonna do you well. Because if you're a first timer, if you're a 12-hour bubble racer, you can't afford to lose 15, 30 minutes because you're just running on 6 cylinders instead of 8. So just keep that in mind. You got to fuel right. It is the eating contest disguised as a mountain bike race. And
yeah,
it's cute and it's funny, but it's true. I mean, you
yeah,
have to figure that part out. Nutrition is one of the biggest keys of this entire day. You have to
yeah,
manage everything. There's a lot of things to manage throughout this race. Fueling has got to be at the top of the list. Because Carmichael CTS told me that out of whatever the DNF rate is, about 85% of the DNF rate are GI issues, which could be, which you didn't fuel right. So get that figured out, train your gut while you're on your journey leading to race day. Make sure you're training your gut as well and training yourself to know whether you set your Garmin or you're looking at the clock on your Garmin and 15, 30, 20, whatever your number is, keep putting food in the tank. Gonna need it.
Yeah.
For sure, gonna need it. So if you would, it doesn't sound like you do very much different. You had a great day. That's awesome. Can you reference a few of your numbers from your cheat sheet?
I could do that. Yeah, I mean, going into it, right?
What did you have for gearing?
32.
Number. What did
Or
you have for gearing?
a 32.
You had a
Right.
32?
Yeah, 32 and 11 by 1 or 12 by 1. But yeah, I trained on a 34 and that was fun, but I swapped to a 32 for the 50. Yeah, while I was on the 34, I was like going up hills. I went like power line on a 34, like sort of different things. Like power line on 34 at mile, 7 was a little bit different than power line on 34 at mile 80, right? So like, as I swapped to the 32 for the silver 50, because the 50 has a lot of climbing, it's really technical. So having that extra, that gear in there would help, and the lower gears would help. But
Did
yeah,
you run the 32 at Leadville?
I kept it on. I kept the 32 on for Leadville. Yeah.
Well, so here's, food for thought, first timers. If you're not a sub-9 racer and you've got a 32 because you live in the flatlands at sea level and you do fine on that, strongly consider taking that to a 30, maybe a 28 before you get here, or bring it with you. And another piece of advice I give you first timers, go do St. Kevin, look at all your numbers, and then gear down, and then go do it again and look at all your numbers. Probably going to have better numbers with the lower gear. You're going to divide the load. You're not going to have your heart rate as high. You're not going to burn as many matches, and that's going to serve you well through a 12-hour day. So consider that. When a 820 rider is riding a 32, an 1120 rider probably does not need to be on a 32.
Yeah.
Because you just have different engines. It's hard to have the same transmission and have different engines and expect the same result. So consider it.
I think, I mean, to that point too, like if you like, people are going to argue like a 32 or 34, right? Like, well, like, what about the flats? What about like the downhills? You're going to spin out on the downhills. Like Turquoise, like 32, 34, whatever it is, you're going to spin out. Like, you're going to spin out on the downhills no matter what, right? Be comfortable on the climbs. If you can dominate the climbs, my training, especially living here, right? There's a big disclaimer for me. Training on the climbs here, like the climbs are going to get you through this race. Cruise on the flats, do the flat like all day, right? But like, you have to be comfortable on the climbs. If that's a 28 or 30, do that, be comfortable on the climbs. So,
right. And, a couple other bullet points here. When you are on the flats, you have to remember where you're going to end up, and that is at the bottom of Columbine. So if you are geared up to the, as fast as you can possibly go, and you are pushing as hard as you possibly can because you want to do some paceline thing, or you don't want to lose any time on the flats, guess what? At the end of the flats, it starts to go like this. And here it is. It starts to go, here's a 2-scale representation. You're on, you're whatever, pace line, ripping through the flats ish, and then you get to here.
yeah.
So just remember that. You've got to be able to climb up. Leadville is not about the flats.
Yeah.
No, Leadville is not about the flats. Leadville is about climbing. And if you want to come home with your buckle, you got to learn how to climb. And you've got to be good at climbing, and you've got to be able to sustain power during the climbs, not have your power curve look like this and you're pushing. You've got to be good at the climb. So, I don't know. My personal opinion, I am not gearing my bike for the flats to get my buckle. I'm gearing my bike to climb so that I can climb every climb and keep going and feel good doing it and still climb at the end of the day. That's my advice to you first timers. Be able to climb. Don't worry about the flats. And then they took out, what did they do? They took out 2 miles of flats because Outward Bound does the hypotenuse of the triangle now through the grass. So, you're not pace lining through the grass in the ruts.
No.
Just, they changed the course quite a bit. So I would worry even less about my flat gearing. Leadville is about climbing. That's where you're going to get your buckle. So
be comfortable. I mean, go honestly, go slower on the flats, but be comfortable on the flats.
Well, take the time in the flats to eat and hydrate and get ready for the climbs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at your 3D printed map, right? Like, what flats are you really going to aim for there?
Right.
There's not much there.
I mean, there's nothing here that's really flat, right?
Like,
there's a little bit right here. This is
right.
pipeline right here.
Yep. Pipeline's not,
right.
There's hills there. That's even deceiving too. Like that definitely, Columbine is legit. But
so do you have any other numbers for us? Do you have FTP? You got watts per kilogram?
Yeah, I can share all that. So let's see. By the numbers. So I'm 185, 190, depending on the day. Again, 42. My FTP in April was 3.7 watts per kilogram.
But that's at 10,000 feet.
That's at 10,000 feet, right?
It's at 10,000
feet. I hear all the numbers of like, well, 10% variance, 5%, 20%, whatever it is. Yeah, I played around with that too. I'm like, I'm really like as fast as Keegan, not. Goal for me was like sub 9, reach goal 8:30, right? So that's where I'm coming from. So 3.7 though, and then I don't know, online I read something about like if it's like 3.5 and above for your FTP, like you could do sub 9. I think was the number I sort of looked at. But those are my numbers there. So that was in April. I didn't do an FTP test after that. Because I was able to get outside. I was like, I'm not doing an FTP test outside. I don't want to hop on the trainer again to do an FTP test. Like, I'm good. So once I was able to go outside, I stayed outside after that. And here especially, like, climbed to a lot of hills. So a majority of my training was climbing. My mileage, I can't give you exact numbers on like weekly mileage, but I know my weekly mileage looking at like other people's was lower than probably a lot. But my elevation gain throughout the week was, significant, like 18,000 or something like that, 20,000 like for the week. So
20,000 for the week?
Yeah.
Wow. That adds up.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Wow. 18,000 for the week.
It's a lot. It's not hard to do here. There's
right. Well, all I do is go and pull vert when I do my Saturday rides around where I live, which is in the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
I'm pulling 5,000 to 6,000 every Saturday. And then I'm doing other rides during the week, but I'm not at 18,000 a week. That's for sure.
It's a lot. Yeah. So it's about, it equates to like 100 feet per mile. Like, it's really sort of, if you balance out all the rides. But so definitely like climbing was my strength, and that definitely led me to like the success at Leadville.
Yeah, heck yeah. If you live, it is going to be an advantage. There's no doubt.
Oh yeah.
Somebody coming from Florida, they're at seasonal and it's flat.
Oh,
that's tough.
Good for you guys. I like, honestly, like, again, disclaimer for me, right? Like, cheat code of being here and looking at the trail. But I respect anyone coming in from sea level and tackling this thing, and I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome. Like,
right, absolutely right.
Best part about the race, like, there's a race course. Best part about the race is seeing like the variety of people that you have on your show, that's on the Facebook group, like the questions being asked, all of it, like showing up at the start line, through the race, like seeing everyone, coming through. I think it's great. So
Yeah, for sure. And being in my position, I get to interview people from all over. To hear their stories is it's just incredible. I mean, some people have some enormous mountains that they have to get over before they can get to the race. Just some crazy high hurdles that they've got to clear, or disabilities or events or whatever. But it's just, it is awesome.
Yeah.
So, do you have some bullet point advice for the first timers? And this is, these are like sub-9 bullet points. These aren't 12-hour bullet points.
I mean, like overall bullet points. So it comes down to like being comfortable on your bike for 12 hours or for 9 hours, whatever, like hours on end, being comfortable sitting down in your position on your bike. Like I messed with, I got like the ergo grips a little bit with like a little bit of flare at the end, like not the massive, like beach cruiser bike style, but like just a little bit of something at the end, because that felt more comfortable for me on my palms, right? Like versus just like the straight cylindrical grips. But like getting things dialed in on your bike and feeling comfortable on your bike, I think is like number one. Um, Nutrition, I think, is incredibly important. I don't know. My wife won't listen to this, but the feed, I don't know how many times I bought random snacks on the feed, right? Or wherever, but I definitely shopped at the feed to like try all different kinds and get sample packs, whatever it is. Just like, does it work? Does it not? And sort of hone in on one, the race was going to support scratch, and that's what they're going to have at the aid stations. So I sort of leaned in that direction to feel comfortable with that. Some mix better than others. I mix my scratch mix with hot water to make like a slurry first and then add water to it, because it would mix better versus get like sort of wasn't as chunky. It's just like those little things just to be comfortable out there on the bike, and then stay hydrated and focused. But yeah, that's not for a sub-9. I think that's for like for everyone.
Well, yeah, those two things. But it was a good tip on mixing the scratch, because I know scratch, if you mix it with cold water, it is super chunky and it's hard to get it dissolved. So to mix it in hot water first,
Yeah.
and then add the water later, and get rid of the chunks with the hot water. Great idea. Great idea. And regarding fueling, you guys, first timers, if you're learning what works for you, find out the sponsor for the race, whatever year you're going to be in it, right? I mean, this video is going to be out there for a while, so I'm not going to reference what we're doing now because it might change. But find out who's sponsoring the race, who's going to be supplying the nutrition at the aid station, and make sure you try that, because if that works, then you have plan B if your crew doesn't show up, or if you drop a bottle, or if your hose comes out of your Camelback or your hydration pack, or a branch catches it and rips it off, or who knows what, and all of a sudden you don't have the nutrition that you anticipated having. Now you can go to the aid station and fuel up and be confident that it's not going to turn your stomach inside out. So just a food for thought, keep that on the radar screen as you're going through your journey and learning exactly what's going to work for you. Make sure you try whatever the race is going to have in case it does work, because then if you can use that and it works, even better.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, final point. It's like, I think it's everyone brings like tools for the bike in case they've got, a rupture or something like that. Learn how to use those tools. Like, don't just do a YouTube video. Like, if you've got a puncture and you use a bacon strip, know how to use that bacon strip, right? Like, know how to use your tools and be comfortable with your tools. Just be ready for that, right? Because if you do get a puncture, you don't want to sit there and like have all your tools displayed out on the ground and not know how to use it, not know how to like fix that flat. So
No, that's great. I mean, that's great advice, because it's one thing to see it done on YouTube and it's another thing to physically do it. So practice doing it. I mean, if that's what, I mean, I use tubes. My spare is a tube. That's how I fix my flat, and I move on, because I don't want to take the time to find the hole. But if you're going to use the bacon strip do it.
Yeah.
Make a hole in a shitty tire, do it. Figure it out, use the tool, know how it unwraps, and unwrap things ahead of time. Don't pack the wrappers and everything. I mean, because that's two things. Number one, you got to take the time to unwrap it. And number two, you don't want to litter. So you're gonna have to put that in your pack, you're gonna have to find it, it's gonna blow away, whatever. So, consider unwrapping everything so that it is ready to go in the event you need it.
Yeah. And there's different size bacon strips. There's like little thin, tiny ones, right? There's fatter ones. Like I use the fatter ones because why not? You're gonna plug the hole. Like so, like try different ones. Get a variety pack, whatever. Like there's a lot of tools out there too. You might not need all of it, but like maybe you do. Like I brought valve cores, like extra valve cores in case a rock bounced up and hit, like my stem on my bike, right? Like I don't know, those things weigh nothing, right? So I've got a kit full of all of it, but I'm also aware of how to use it, and that's crucial when you're out in the middle of nowhere to try to do a repair.
And another thing would be for flats, not only know how to change the flat, but get proficient at it. I mean, get to the point where you can change a flat with your eyes closed, because you're racing the clock, and if you had the misfortune of getting a flat and you're a 12-hour bubble racer, you don't have time to learn how to do this on the trail. So do it ahead of time, get good at it, and hopefully you're never going to need it on race day. But if you do, you're going to be able to NASCAR pit stop, wheel off your bike, air back in the tire, you're back going quickly. It's gonna, it could make or break your buckle. So, take the time to do your homework. I mean, you've got to do the training. You've got to do the trial and error on training your gut. You've got to do so many things. Well, put this in the mix of what you have to do to make sure that come race day, you're prepared.
Yeah.
Big deal.
It'd really be hard to train to get that entry email, train forever, and then hit like, a goat head and run out of sealant or something like that, and like have a little tiny puncture, like ruin your day when it's an easy repair, right? So yeah.
No, good advice. All right, Casey, we I don't know, I'm sure people have learned a lot. You had a great day, good for you. Gonna wear your buckle around. Well, you're in Leadville, it would be, no one would even blink. Every day.
Yeah.
But do you wear it?
Yeah. It's been on. Yeah. I've definitely worn it around town. I'm like,
that's cool. I wear mine every day. I got my buckle on.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
All right, guys, I'm gonna revisit the people who have aligned with the show. We got quicker stuff, $25 off. Best last rack you'll ever buy. 100%. Get a hold of me, Mike, at getmybuckle.com, and we'll do a group order. Bird wheels, carbon hoops, rope spokes, super compliant, awesome wheel set, very light. Carbo Rocket, 25% off your order with Get My Buckle. And Silka, 15% off with Get My Buckle 15. So thanks for our companies that have aligned with us. Help you first timers set the compass, get the products and the tools you need. Casey, thank you very much for taking time out of your day. Appreciate it. Good job on your big buckle. And are you coming back?
I'll be back. I'm not going to ride this year. It's funny, right when you cross the finish line, you're like, I am good, but I say that now. I've got some other like sort of bigger rides and sort of planned here just on my own to explore the mountains, but we'll see. I'm not saying no. So we'll see, but I'm happy to help. If anyone like on Facebook, whatever it is, reach out. I've got a document here too that I'll post right after this video gets posted, and it's got all the numbers in there if you have questions on that. Let me know.
That'd be great. All right, buddy. Well, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Bet.
First timers, we'll see you at the finish line. Good luck.